I've already made it very clear what an entire universe that you are is, okay? So this is the entirety of what the mind is. We are coming to link this particular mind from the middle as the representation of Christ consciousness, okay, to the rest of the 12 representation of what you are as time. We are coming to link every single aspect of the representation of 12, be it the 12 color wheel, be it the 12 representation of the Chinese zodiac, be it the 12 representation of your own Kemetic zodiac, be it the representation of the 12 labors of Hercules, every form of 12 of Egypt, every form of 12 that exists. You are coming to link it. And once you begin to get the deepest understanding from the beginning of the mind, what the mind is, then becoming or linking it to the rest becomes very easy. I've already taught this inside of the WhatsApp group, so they have a head start, okay? So the first broken thing, or the first one that we are coming to break the cranial nerves. Okay, I'm coming to tell you what the cranial nerves are, and then we are going to be linking that into the 12 apostles. We are linking the cranial nerves into the 12 apostles. I made it very clear that the brain is what is interpreting information for the body to be able to understand. What you have as 5 physical senses, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. You are made up of 5 physical senses of what represents the mind. And the mind is grouped into the conscious, the limbic, and then the physical representation of the reptilian or the physical reality of what you are as mammals. So all these particular 3 aspect point of yourself, if you want to understand it into a deeper context, then you must know that when the 5 physical senses, or what you call 5 physical senses, can be amplified, okay, can be amplified for you to experience deeper context when it comes to the representation of the mind. Because I made it very clear, the body is what is denser, the body is what is here. So if the body begins to upgrade itself by allowing more light inside, then the body begins to grow in frequency. The body begins to grow and then change in its vibrational pattern until it brings itself back to the neutral point, which is in the middle, and then it can ascend out of this particular reality that you call Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? So let's go and then we pick the first cranial nerve, and then we are going to link it to the first apostle, and then you understand the what I'm coming to talk about. Okay? The first cranial nerve is the olfactory. Okay? The first cranial nerve is the olfactory. And when it comes to the olfactory, it deals with your sense of smell. Okay? Every single one of the 5 physical senses of yourself, the first one deals with your sense of smell. Okay? Every information that comes from source itself. I told you that the way in which light is interpreted is through that you experiencing from the 5 physical points of yourself. You always have to wait and then for the brain to tell you whatever it is that you just smelled, okay? It's either good or bad. It's either pleasurable or very, 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 very toxic, okay? So you have to understand things from the point through which your brain interprets every form of information that it receives to the physical 5 senses of your body. So when it comes to the olfactory, its duty is to receive signals, that are being broadcasted globally by the absolute itself. It receives information as light signals. You cannot see what you smell, but you can be able to interpret it inside of your own mind, whether it smells sweet, it is of a perfume, or it smells very bad that you need to get away from. So this particular sense of yourself is what represents the first cranial nerve inside of your own being. Okay? That is the first representation among the 12 cranial nerves that you have inside of your brain. The olfactory, when you look at the senses inside of your nostrils, the way in which we interpret smell, okay? Smell goes way deeper than you can actually give assent to. When you look at the scent that is produced by dogs, okay? When you look at the way in which dogs are able to harness the power of their smell, or the power of their scent, or the power of their nostrils, they can track down every single person by being able to register the kind of frequency that the person is operating at the level of their smelling. Do you understand? I told you that each of you is operating at a specific wavelength. Okay, each of you are operating at a specific wavelength. So this particular wavelength when a dog comes in contact with anything that deals personally with you, or anything that is connected with you personally that has your particular wavelength frequency registered on it, be it a shoe, be it a cloth, be it a hair dryer, be it whatever it is that you use inside of your room, immediately the dog puts its nostrils into it, it has a hyper sense of smell. It has a hyper sense of hair that is able to interpret the information that is coming from source, because I explained the pineal gland and I explained the crown chakra, how to amplify the etheric essence of your own hair. Okay, so it is able to receive this particular information in its deepest depth. So whenever that it smells something, that it begins to create visuals, it begins to create a visual representation of where that thing could possibly be. Do you understand? So when the dog smells your clothes, when the dog smells your shoe, indirectly inside of its own mind, it begins to create a particular map. Okay? It begins to draw a particular map. And the more that it goes, it begins to follow these particular tracks that represents you, that you left behind. So when it gets to point A, it smells the ground more, and then to pick up that particular signal that you've left, and then it begins to intensify, and then it goes like light, then it creates this particular phenomena. Then before you realize, it goes to the next one. Before you realize, it gets to the next one, and it will trace you to exactly where you are currently existing, or you currently found yourself in. Do you understand? So when it comes to the sense of smell that deals with the human mind, okay, you have the ability to smell things before you can actually see it. You have the ability to be able to interpret scent or interpret reality by just the way of smelling. People that don't have sight, people that can hear, people that can speak, can have the sense to smell things that is farthest away, because your 5 physical senses isn't just something that is physical. I made it very clear. Your 5 physical senses isn't just something that is physical. Your mind isn't physical. Okay? It is the body that is physical. The body physicality is the neuron transmissions inside of your own self that you call the nervous system. And I made it very clear that when you start from the top absolute, then you begin to dance down in different frequencies and then vibrations. Okay? So this is exactly how the neurons workings inside of your own body is. Okay, so when it comes to your sense of smell, the hairs that are existing inside of your nostrils, I don't recommend that you should always cut them out. Okay, if you know the amount of things that they are filtering out, you will not be cutting them off. So every single one of the information of the mind of what the physical 5 is being decoded or is being condensed into a particular level according to the wavelength that this particular person, okay, is currently operating on. Okay, it is being condensed. God does not give you anything that you cannot handle. So the way in which your sense of smell works, if God is allowing your sense to be hyperactive without you being at that particular vibration level, then it becomes what you call uncomfortability. You become uncomfortable. You cannot walk in crowd. You cannot walk in anywhere. You will lock yourself up in a particular space without understanding why. Because most of you, the information that you receive by way of smelling, that is how you are able to learn. You are supposed to learn to amplify the energy there, so that whatever it is that is preventing you from associating with others, you can learn to harness it. And when you want it, then you can activate it in order to use it. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so absoluteness broadcasts every form of frequency in its fullest entire form. God is always telling you who He is, what He is, in its entire form, 100%. Okay, God is always talking to you in 100% of everything that sums up to be a reality. Okay, but it is left onto you, okay, this particular wavelength, to be able to interpret that information according to the level that you are vibrating at. Okay, so when it comes to your sense of smell, the hairs that are inside of your nose, don't always take them out. The hairs that are inside of your nose are like this. They are hairs because they carry electric signals. And whatever carries electric signals has a specific meaning to it. You can smell 3 different kinds of fruit, vegetables mixed into one particular thing. You can smell the air and then realize that it's about to rain or it's not about to rain. You can smell this and be able to know this. It is a superpower, but when it is condensed into the physical or the material form, then the functions of it begins to decrease. Okay, the functions of it begins to decrease. You can learn to amplify it, you can learn to de-amplify it. It all depends on the actions that you perform towards your own self. So when it comes to the first cranial nerve, okay, that is your sense of smell. Your sense of smell, being able to register unseen frequencies and then interpret them by a way of experience. That is what the sense of smell is. You can go and then do your research and then read deeply into it, because I'm just summarizing things as simple as I can so that you can dig deeply in your own time, so that you can understand yourself in a deeper context. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So the first cranial nerve that represents smell is the same representation when it comes to the apostle that you call Peter. Apostle Peter is the sense that is represented by your olfactory or your sense of smell. When you are reading the books or when you are reading the gospel, it is always made clear that Peter was the first disciple to join in the crusade of spreading what the gospel is. Peter was the first person to join the crusade when Yeshua came and then he was spreading the knowledge about who you are from the very inside to the outside of yourself. And I made it very clear that the way in which these people love to tell stories, they can pick one particular thing, like picking the sense of smell, and then giving it a particular identity outside of your own self. Do you understand? Every form of story that exists outside there comes from the inside of your own self. Every single story is gotten from that one particular consciousness that is able to interpret emotions in different variations and then in different forms. That is the middle of you. That is the cube. The emotional resonance of your own self. The soul is what interprets color. Is what interprets smell. Color is scent and smell is color. Every single thing inside of this world are wavelength that is transmuted all the way from the absolute to every form of creation that experiences the five physical senses of their body. Be it that you only smell things, or be it that you only taste things, be it that you only hear things, all these sum up to be the five physical representation of what you call a physical reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? When it comes to Peter in the good book was a fisherman. Peter was a fisherman, and Peter has been fishing on the sea for many times, but never been able to catch a very reasonable amount of fish. Peter was able to fish, but wasn't making enough fish for him to support himself and then to support his family. Now, when it comes to the depiction of what Peter is as the fisherman, what it is trying to tell you is that fish, I made it very clear, okay? Okay, what you call fish, when it comes to the representation of fish inside of the Bible or inside of every form of knowledge that you come across, fish is always talking about the knowledge of self. Okay, fish is always talking about the knowledge of self. You as the self-representation, when you look at the lateral representation of what a fish is, there has been several depictions of fish being swallowed by people inside of the what? The Bible. Okay? There are depictions of fish that have been told countlessly inside of the Bible. And when I was drawing the representation of you as time, I made it very clear how your eye or how the absolute, okay, interprets information for the soul to be able to understand the reality that it is experiencing. I drew this particular symbol and I made it very clear to you people. Okay, I drew this particular symbol and I made it clear that it represents the pliers, and this is where the eye is, and this is where the absolute is, and this is what you call physical reality. That is the three representation aspect point of yourself. So this is the fish. Do you understand? You are the fish. So the fish here represents Peter. Peter is the part that fishes, or Peter is a fisherman. Let me just put it simple like that. He goes onto the sea. This is the entire sea. That is the entire representation of the sea. Peter goes into the sea in search of fish. So when they are talking about Peter being in search of fish, they are not just talking about the physical representation of the fish. They are talking about Peter wanting to know something more about himself. Peter wanting to realize, what am I? Who am I? What do I represent? Okay, that is where you bring Yeshua inside. Okay, that is where you bring Yeshua inside. So he found out that Yeshua knew something more about fish than he himself being a fisherman. Do you understand what I'm saying? It was never said that Yeshua was a fisherman. No, he never had any fish. But he was able to tell Peter that the path through which you are trying to catch the fish, that is not where the fish are. You are supposed to move to this aspect part of the fish where you can be able to analyze and then to get more fish. Because during noon, this is where most of the fish is. And during day, this is where most of the fish is. Someone that has never fished before is able to understand fish because the person knows the sea. Christ knows the sea. Christ is in the middle. So he understands every various point that exists along the sea. Do you understand? So when Peter came across Christ or Peter came across Yeshua, he understood that this man knew something more about the sea than I actually did. And if I ever want to have any awareness of who I am or what I represent, I need to follow this man. I need to learn more. I need to get closer to this man into understanding the deepest context of what that particular information is trying to speak about. Okay? So Peter here is the representation of what you call the sense of you being able to get a particular resonance to a particular smell that you are not sure of. Do you understand? Peter's character depiction inside of the Bible is said to be impulsive. Okay? Peter is a very impulsive person. And when they talk about someone being impulsive, what they are simply saying is that they act before they think. You actually do things and later on you regret. Okay, that is what it means for you to be impulsive. It means for you to be temperamental, to have anger issues. Okay? You are temperamental. All of us inside of this world, we have Peter. All of us, no matter how much or who you say you are, that you are not angry, definitely you will say something to somebody inside of your own head that makes you feel comfortable. Instead of saying it on the outside, then people will be like, oh, that is not what you are supposed to say. No, you are highly temperamental and you are highly impulsive. That is the part of what the fish is. Okay, so Peter denying Jesus or Peter denying Yeshua 3 particular consecutive times is about how you usually smell things. Some of you, immediately you send passes through your nostrils, be like, let me see, what do I just smell? You are trying to analyze what that particular scent is by contacting the entire ocean. Okay, and if you don't get the scent clearly, then you will doubt what you smell. You will doubt the kind of scent that just passed through your nostrils. You have to get deeper connection. You have to get a deeper consent. Peter needed to connect more with Yeshua in order to accept that part of himself. You understand? So he doubted Christ for the first time, he doubted Christ for the second time, and doubted him for the third time. And after he died, then that is when he understood the entirety of what the resurrection or what the death, okay, why you had to die. Jesus had to die and then be resurrected back as the Christ. Do you understand? Most of you out there, you seek something other than what you call the physical representation of yourself. You understand that there is something more to life. You understand that there's something more to the experience that you are having. But you doubt how you should go about it. You doubt yourself whether what I'm about to do, should I do it or not? You are at the Peter stage. You are at the beginning stage of analyzing your own self. Okay, everything about the absolute, everything about the entirety of the sea, everything that God talks to you about is about you learning to take a leap of faith. Okay, you have to learn to take a leap of faith. It's not everything that the Spirit is that is physically for you to experience. Okay, everything that the Spirit is, for you to have a deeper context, you must take a leap of faith. Whatever it is that you are doubting, whatever it is that you are trying to talk yourself out of, instead of grounding yourself more, instead of learning to go inside of yourself, to just sit down and then observe yourself by way of breathing, by way of that the thoughts, the universal consciousness travel inside and outside of your own self. Trying to find balance, you bring doubt. Okay. So Peter's representation is the doubt of Yeshua, is the doubt of the Christ consciousness, and is the doubt about the power that exists inside of his own self. Because once you understand the power that you have, you begin to walk on the ocean. You can walk on water. You can walk on ocean. You can understand the entire ocean, not just as a piece of earth, but you begin to understand the entire verse of the known and then the unknown universes that occupies this particular plane. Is this understandable? So you can go and then you read deeply into the story of Peter. And if you have questions, you can bring it back to the comment section, and then I'll sum up your questions, and then I'll come back and then I'll explain it if the need be. Okay? So let's move to the second cranial nerve. The second cranial nerve is what you call the optic nerve. Okay? The second cranial nerve is what you call the optic nerve. The optic nerve is the one responsible for the interpretation of what you call light. What you call sight, you being able to see, that is what the optic nerve is. And I made it very clear that when you look at the fish, okay, when you look at the way in which light is being interpreted for you to be able to see, What interprets light is the one that is in the middle here. Okay, Christ is the one that in the middle here that is giving you the sense of sight. There's a difference between looking and then seeing. You can be looking at something without seeing it. That is why I made it very clear. It's not about you buying the books. It's not about you being able to get all the heavy books outside there that is talking about awakening. It's about you learning to see the information that is hidden inside of it. Because these people will never approve any book that is of a spiritual essence that they can sell outside there, make photocopies of it for you to buy. Okay, they know that you still need something. You still need the Christ inside of you to be able to make sense of the entire information that they are broadcasting to you. So when it comes to the optic nerve is the one that interprets the information. Okay, it's the one that is picking the information and then operating it all the way to the physical part of yourself. So when you look at who the optic nerve is the Apostle Andrew. Okay, the optic nerve represents Andrew, and I made it very clear that when it comes to your sense of sight, every single one of you inside of this world, you are seeing a quarter version of what the sight is. Okay, all of you are seeing a very quarter version, like I explained here. Okay, all of you are seeing V. All of you are seeing from one particular point. The eye is only projecting one particular form of light for you to see. For you to be able to analyze and then to see the entirety of what the eye is or the entirety of what the universe is, then you must be able to use the sight that comes within. You must be able to connect yourself to the Christ consciousness. You must be able to awaken that particular cube that is inside of you so that it can be able to vibrate high enough to link you to every form of the seeds that exists as the 12 various aspect point of yourself. Okay, so when you are talking about sight, you are talking about the optic nerve. The sight issue deals with looking and then being able to truly see. For you to truly see, you must go inside. And when you go inside, then this particular eyes begins to awaken because more light will begin to pass through them. You begin to understand yourself deeply enough to pass this particular information to the physical reality, and then you interpret it more than just a 5 physical sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so when it comes to your optic nerve, every single one of you has something you call optic nerve. I don't know if some of you like the way in which you are blind. Okay, you will say, I don't have an optic nerve because I cannot see physically. That is not the issue. You can see. Do you understand? You can see. It doesn't mind if you are blind physically. You can see. I'm telling you. Okay, when it comes to this particular operational form, I haven't started talking about you people healing this and healing this yet. I haven't focused my mind on that. I'm just receiving the information, or I've arranged the information of my own remembrance in a particular form that will not take my attention from giving people the information into doing miracles of a particular sort that you ended up following. Because most people, they believe in what they can look at instead of seeing. Okay, so I want you to see before you can actually look. Miracles will happen in various forms that you never even imagined that it was possible. But for the beginning, I want you to understand what the middle part of yourself is. Okay, that is what interprets this particular color. So the middle part of yourself is here, and the part that you are only seeing is only a V, a particular quarter version of the entirety of what reality is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Light is what interprets color for you to interpret it as physical reality. Okay, so the amount of light that you allow into the body will tell you how information or how connected that you are to every various forms of what you call sight, because this part of yourself is what interprets the color. This part of yourself is what writes reality. This is your entire eye as this one. Okay, this is your entire eye. I made it very clear. Okay, this thing is your entire eye. This is the part that is the black. This is the part that interprets the color. This is the part that is the white. Every single one of it exists inside of one particular universe. This is the eye. Do you understand what I'm saying? When your eyes are closed, it's here. This is your eyelids. The top half part of this is your eyelid. Down part of this is your eyelid. In the middle exists the black spot. When you close your eyes, then this part is closed. When you open it, then that part is open. That is what sees. That is what interprets color for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so when it comes to your optic nerve, it is the attribute of the Apostle Andrew. Andrew was a brother to who? Peter. Okay, they were brothers, and the two of them were fishermen because it represents sight and then smell. It represents sight, smell, and then sight. Do you understand? They were all in the beginning. They couldn't understand the fullest contents of what they are as the fish of the ocean. All of you are the ocean. All of you are the sea. You are all fishes. Okay, all of you are fishes. Every single one of you is a fish inside of this world. So you learning, or Andrew learning, to take the roads or to take the journey into analyzing what he actually is into a deeper context as the optic nerve, as the interpretation of what light is, goes a long way to explain them telling you that he's able to heal the blind man. The blind man representation isn't something about a physical concept. The physical representation did happen, but they are talking about the sense of sight, the sight that comes with you awakening the Christ consciousness inside of your own self to see the entire picture. Do you understand what I'm saying? So them telling you that Andrew is able to heal someone that is blind. Everyone inside of this world, every fish inside of the ocean is blind to the very fact that they are inside of an entire ocean. So if you are telling the fishes, or if you go to a particular community and then you tell people that, oh, all of you are blind, or you don't see the truth about yourself, this is the way to find out about yourself, this is the way to find out about yourself. Because they can look and then see physically, they will see you to be a rambling madman. They will not understand the concept of what you are talking about because it doesn't make sense to them. Okay, that is what it means to be blind. Okay, they made it very clear that the demi-urge, okay, they represented it as a form of God. Okay, they told that the God of this world has blinded. Okay, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. Okay, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. The God here represents the demi-urge. The demi-urge is the one that is harnessing your pain, harnessing your guilt, harnessing your fear into creating a particular reality that every time that he says jump, you will jump. Every time that he says that sit, you will sit. There is fear, there is fear, there is fear. Always propagating a particular concept that makes you blind to the whole truth that there is an entire ocean of fish that exists, and for you to explore it, you must move out of the quarter representation of it. You must move out of the quarter. You must get out of the box. You must get out of the box. Think outside the box, and that is when you connect to the entirety of the universe itself. Okay, so you are blind simply means that you don't have the awareness of what you are as the fish inside of the ocean. Okay, you have no idea about you being a fish inside of an ocean. You just know that you are swimming forward, you are swimming backward, but you have no idea of what you are inside of this particular entire universe. That is what it means to be blind. So the God of this world, which is what you call Shaitan, or you call the demi-urge, they are not one particular entity. They are a collective of people. Few people, the very few people that are controlling the masses of the entire ocean. That is why they represent themselves as the 12 houses. They represent themselves as the 12 beginning forms of what the kings are, the 12 kings of the world, the 12 royal families. That is who they are. They are the demi-urge. They are the descendants of the demi-urge, the one that is causing the blindness of this particular world, of the unbelievers. Because if Andrew come, or if Yeshua went about telling people that you are blind, they'll tell that you are an unbeliever, you are a blaspheming against God. You know nothing about God, because they understand from the point of this blind God telling them what God is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so for you to have a deeper context, for you to have a deeper knowledge into awakening the blindness that you feel, you have to look inside. Close the eyes, go inside, reflect, and let the light interpret more of what the optic nerve can offer you, so that you will get a deeper understanding of who and what you actually represent. Do you understand this simple thing? The second miracle that was performed by Andrew that I want to make very clarity of was about him converting cannibals into being able to see. Him being able to convert those that are meat eaters, people meat eaters. I made it very clear to you people about the creation of the 6 etheric people, or the pale skin, where they actually begin from, and they are royal reptilian bloodline that uses their own DNA code, the part of themselves that causes your entire body to be refreshed and then to be born again, or to sleep, and then when you awaken you feel freshened by the next day, which is like the serotonin and then the melatonin. It's like this. The serotonin are the double helix of your DNA. Okay. Okay. The serotonin and then the melatonin are the double helix of your DNA. That is the same thing as the fish. Okay. I made this very clear. That is the same thing as the fish. So they are harvesting their organs, they are harvesting their marrow, they are harvesting their very essence, and then they are converting that into energy that they are able to cause them to stay immortals for life. Whenever they age, they can be able to use that particular DNA to refresh their own self. So they were created purposely for harvesting their organs until Andrew is able to find them and then to cause them to see, allow them to take the blindfold off. So like a way of you or them telling you about them going to the garden and then to free them from the garden and all sort of things. They are trying to talk about gaining the sense of sight. Okay, so I told you all the apostles are linked to the middle. They are all receiving information from the middle. So the way in which they are interpreted across the 12 representation of yourself is by a way of you learning to analyze and then to understand that him saving them, or the miracle performed by Andrew, saving the cannibals and then giving them a sense of sight, was you freeing them from that particular domain, imprisonment and enslavement and organ harvesting, and then giving them freedom. You understand what I'm saying? So the representation of Andrew is very simple. When you look at how he died, okay, I'm just summarizing these things. You can go and then you read deeply into them. That way you will understand what I'm talking into a deeper context, okay? Andrew was going to be crucified. So the way in which they wanted to crucify him, they said they were going to crucify him exactly like the way they crucified Christ. And he was like, no, that he wasn't at that particular level, or he wasn't at that particular way of resonance. So they should crucify him like the way they did his brother. So they decided to crucify him at an X point. Okay. Andrew was crucified at an X point. The X point is what I'm trying to explain for you to understand. The X point is what I'm trying to explain for you to understand. Andrew was crucified in the middle. Do you understand what I'm saying? All this information is inside of your own self. Once you begin to understand it in this particular simple context, the interpretation of the entirety of what you are as the entire ocean becomes very easy for you to know. Okay, so go and read it. If you have questions concerning Andrew and then what his missions was about, you can come and ask. I will gather the question like I said, and then I'll make a particular video and then I'll answer them in accordance. Okay.